Ronald,
Simone,
so happy to have you here.
thank you for having me.
We are London International Awards, Las Vegas, 2022, in person. It feels so good, isn't it?
It feels amazing. One, to be in person.
Right.
Second, to finally be in this ocean and meet you in person.
In Las Vegas,
Yes,
which is
in
like, it
Vegas.
doesn't hurt, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't hurt.
Absolutely.
But look, as you know, OSHA 15 is a podcast that we do here, a video podcast, but it root back to my podcast called Transatlantic is a video podcast
Which is a fantastic podcast.
full
I've
with
seen it.
water.
Yes, absolutely.
And we believe that's everybody's an ocean, and to really get to know somebody, you have to cross the ocean. So we are here to cross your ocean through the 7 Seas interview. I'm going to ask you 7 questions. Just be very relaxed.
All
And
right.
let me cross your ocean. And if I'm going to get into some kind of storm, let's ride it together, brother. Because that's my favorite moment.
What is life without a good storm?
Oh, that's already a great quote. Okay, first question. Look, before a captain crosses an ocean, he or she carefully selects the crew. Now, in the mid-1970s, Alejandro Jodorowsky, a French filmmaker, unsuccessfully attempted to adapt and film Frank Herbert's 1965 science fiction novel Dune. Despite the failure, he was able to gather, I think, one of the most stellar multiplanetarian cast ever. So we're talking about Orson Welles, Mick Jagger, Salvador Dali, and Pink Floyd as music composers. Now, was there a moment in your career where you put together a stellar crew, but you weren't able to actually get the job done?
Absolutely. Many moments like that. Having rock stars on a team working together is no guarantee of great work.
Of course.
I've been in so many instances where big famous agency, I try to cast the best teams possible. They also come with also the biggest egos. And when that happens, a very unhappy accident happens, which is ego gets in the way.
Right.
And it gets in the way of great ideas. So having a team of rock stars does not guarantee you great work, from my experience. It helps to get to great work, but egos quite often get in the way.
This is just such a truth. And actually, we see this every day in the sport field, right?
Yep.
You can assemble what they call the dream team. You see now, with Paris Saint-Germain, Neymar and Mbappé, they don't get along.
Absolutely.
And it's very rare that you have 3, 4, 5 great players. If you have it, it becomes Barcelona when Neymar and Messi and Suarez were together and it lasts a glimpse.
I feel talent is obviously very important. But talent and seniority very often comes with ego, and people get in the way of themselves when they let the egos take over. I feel that a diversity of thinking, a diversity of expertise, a diversity of experience is what we need to get to better work. I feel that seniority is overrated. There is great, unbelievable sort of thinking and some naivety, which is wonderful. I'm at my age right now, and I still want to be naive every day. But there's such a sort of fearless attitude when it comes to young creatives that I love. That's why I value that so much when we sort of cast our teams, right? I think casting is super important. It's not about who's the most awarded person and who's the whatever. It's how can you sort of do the yin and yang, from seniority to expertise to thinking, because if everyone sort of has the same proven record, then they're all speaking the same language. you want the, like I say, yin and yang. So the mix in the kind of people, and that's often not just having rock stars in a team is super important.
That's a great perspective, man. Great perspective. I love like how you describe like this parallel between like, you know, talent and seniority and like, you know, ego coming in the way. And I do agree with you, like there is certain kind of like, certain kind of truly like, you know, violent passion that come from youth. That's like, you know, it's very hard to hang on to it. Like as you go, I've seen like, you know, I'm a writer by trade, and I remember that back when I was in my 20s, I used to actually type poems using a typewriter, and that metallic sound of the typewriter helped me a lot through the nights. I used to write at night. I was very bohemian, like, you know, in my ideas, like, you know, I would start writing like at 1 o'clock at night, smoking like a chimney, and then like go up until like 6 a.m. with this typewriter. My brother in the other room is an engineer, mechanic engineer, used to swear all the time, right? But then as like years go by, like, you know, I find peace and quiet in my writing using like, you know, the keyboard of a computer. Maybe it became better sometimes, but yeah, I can see this like, you know, difference. Great answer.
You know, to your point about the typewriter, I think it's very, very important. And I'm not talking specifically about the typewriter.
Right.
The fact that it is not that easy to edit when you use a typewriter is very important, because you think and you're very thoughtful about like what goes down, because it's not simple to just delete. So I think that's a very important point. You know, I quite often use a pen.
Yeah, otherwise you do like Charles Bukowski. He was famous, he was a poet. And Charles Bukowski was born in Germany, but like, you know, all his life he spent in Los Angeles. Like, and most of his poems in youth, he used to have the typewriter, some of the words they were cross. Because again, he couldn't like, you know, cancel or erase, and so he used to like literally cross over the word.
Yeah, it's great. You know. Can I just add one point about the rock star?
Yeah, of course.
Point. Because for you know, for me, I think, you know, whoever, you know, you are, and you know, whatever you've achieved, right? There's a real beauty. Maybe I'm speaking from a very personal level, because I grew up in Malaysia. You know, not your ivory tower city. You know, when you think about advertising, the tropes, right? Mad Men and you know, New York and London. I came from a country that you almost had to kind of like raise your hand higher, speak louder to be noticed. You know, that I love that. I'm trying to equate this to the mix of having superstars and, you know, very established seniors and like juniors and people who are, you know, at different levels. You know, having a sort of a challenger mentality.
The underdog mentality.
The underdog mentality, which is the perfect word, right? And that insecurity, you know, that's why I, till today, you know, I'm based in New York. That's where I, you know, my office is. But I will never ever sort of forget and lose that sort of natural muscle memory of like being constantly insecure and having that challenger underdog mindset, which is why I'm quite anti superstar team, but more about like how can we have a mix of people.
I love the underdog mentality. It's like it's paramount, man. Like, you know, to draw from your insecurity and like the challenges is paramount. Great answer.
Security and overconfidence, or you know, even
of course,
is the downfall of a creative person.
Yeah, of course. Second question: sound reign supreme underwater. If you go underwater, there is a beautiful sound. As a matter of fact, it travels 5 times faster than in the air. If you were to drop a microphone 6 miles down into the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean, instead of like quietness, you will be listening to the sound of earthquakes, ships, the distinct moans of whales, and the overwhelming noise of a Category 4 typhoon that just happened to pass overhead. At Transatlantic and at Ocean 15, we believe that everyone is on ocean. I told you, right? If I were to drop a microphone in your ocean, in the abyss of your ocean, what sound would I listen to?
It'll be pretty chaotic. There'll be a lot of tremors.
A lot of tremors?
Yes, absolutely. My existence and sort of way of working is being supercharged by insecurity. So, the sound that you will hear is a lot of tremors because it's me asking myself, like, is this good enough? How can I make it better? What if the other person does it better than our team? Insecurity is my superpower.
I know. You know why? Here's what they say. I read somewhere that the first encounter of two human beings that don't know each other, in the first 10 minutes, they mention what's really truly important in their lives.
Yeah.
And I think we have been speaking for less than 10 minutes, and I never met you in person before.
Yes.
And you already mentioned Insecurity twice.
Absolutely.
And that made me think that it's truly like your superpower. And it's like beautiful. I think that's, that kind of quote that I read somewhere about like the 10 minutes of every first conversation is so true. Because that's what happened. People always drop somewhere, somehow, episode, anecdote, or words that they truly matter in their life in those first 10 minutes.
Completely. Oh, I just fooled you. No, but seriously, it's something that I've always possessed, even before I got into this industry. And I think the sort of intentionality and the intentionality and the ability to convert negative energy to positive energy,
right,
is what I think can help us survive in this industry, because it's not the easiest industry in the world.
Absolutely.
To thrive in. I'm very lucky because I enjoy what I do. Does it not have headaches and heartaches and tremors and earthquakes? Absolutely. But I use, I guess, ability or whatever the word is, to convert what is negative, and boy, do we get a lot of that, to positivity, so using an insecurity as not a weakness, but a strength. And I think that works for me. I think people out there, they have their own sort of, things that they need to work on. If they can find in their own way, turning that negativity into positive energy, hopefully that can help them.
Interesting. Third question. The generational gap between a father and a son can be as vast as an ocean. There is a lot of water that runs in between, and that can cover like the distance, but it's always challenging to cross an ocean of a son or an ocean of a father. During the Broadway play Death of a Salesman, I don't know if you ever watched the play or read the play, written by Arthur Miller. Dustin Hoffman gave a wonderful interpretation of that play, and he played the main character, Willie Loman. And I don't know if you know, but Dustin's father used to be a salesman. Amazing. And the very first night of that play, Dustin invited his father to watch the play in Broadway, and the guy came, and he wasn't very impressed with Dustin's performance, and he told Dustin look, I never liked the business. I never wanted to be like a salesman. I mean, I read in your bio that your toughest clients are your two boys, Jonah and Noah.
Oh, yes.
What do they think about what you do? Are they impressed with what you do? Or even if they are I don't know what their age, but...
They're 16 and 17.
16 and 17, are they impressed or are disgusted or are not bothered at all? They don't care?
I don't know what they think of what I do, because I don't talk much to them about what I do, to be very, very honest. Because I don't want to influence in any way the path that they could be taking, because like Joanna is going to be in college next year, and Noah's going to be in college in 2 years. Both my wife and I, have never wanted to kind of like influence their
But they know that
paths.
you are in Vegas right now as a global chief
They
credit
know I'm
officer.
traveling somewhere for work somewhere.
They never ask you that, but Dad, what do you actually do?
Sometimes they do. I'm very lucky to have the family that I have, a very supportive wife, much smarter than I am, and two, what I think are good, really, really, good boys. But they are my toughest clients because they live with me and they're my permanent property.
It's funny,
not switchable. But they have a little bit of an idea of what I do. They know it's got to do with ideas, but they don't have like a very specific idea.
I tell you a story. Right? I have two little daughters, like 11 and 6, and I think the little one. Well, I don't remember if it was the little one or the older one, but a few years ago, like they had had to write something at school at the elementary. They were in 2nd grade, and what your dad does. And like my daughter wrote, like my dad write and eat like tuna.
What does that mean? I love it.
That's what I actually do all my life, man. It's like I write because even though like I work at like a credit director, I still I'm a writer by trade. So every day I write, I sit at the computer, I write every day, and I eat a lot of tuna because I love tuna. So, but I think the definition and the way she summarized my entire existence in eat rice and eat tuna, I thought it was fascinating.
That's awesome. I mean, I apologize first and foremost because I'm not answering your question.
No. I mean, there is no way, right or wrong way to answer your question. I think
But I'll tell you, they're both born 20 months apart.
That's interesting.
But they couldn't be more different from each other. Like Jonah, who's my 17-year-old boy, he's very systematic. Quite the opposite of what I am. He's quite into math, and I think he's going to go into some sort of a economics or financial sort of a world. Noah, fortunately or unfortunately, I think is closer to my DNA, because he's always been that in his own way a MacGyver, and surprises me quite often in the way he thinks. And the both of them together with my wife came to Cannes with me. Recently, and you could see in their behaviors, looking at the work. One was very interested. The younger boy is very interested in the work, could reinterpret and tell me what the ideas were about. And the other was completely, he just didn't give a shit. He didn't want to understand. So,
two different reactions from two different personalities.
Yeah, so I don't know, for what reason. Maybe one hates my job. Maybe he sort of has an idea of what I do and hates my job and wants to go into a more sort of a, economics or business kind of a world. And the other one likes my job, because obviously we work from home, and they, quite often, and maybe they observe, and one finds it more interesting than the other.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Okay, 4th question. If anything works in my case, then accident takes over. These are the words by Francis Bacon. It's literally one of the most sought after artists of the 20th century. He was a crazy guy, and his tribute to the sea can be admired in the famous painting Figure in the Sea. The thing with Francis is that he would gamble everything on his next brushstroke. He didn't plan for anything. He wasn't a planner. Yet he left a legacy. When I look at your career, you became Global Chief Credit Officer of MrM. I just asked you how many people, and you told me about 5,000 people, right?
Almost, yes.
Does it happen by accident that you get to that top, or did you plan every move?
In retrospect, I would like to say that it was quite intentional and quite planned, quite strategically charted out. But I would say that I've been lucky to
How did you plan to get to be a global chief creative officer?
No, that's why I need to qualify, right? It's easy to speak in retrospect to say, oh, because I did this happened, and because I did that happened, and that's why I'm here. So I really don't want to try to say that I'm so super strategic and smart that everything worked out. But I've been quite sort of intentional from, say, maybe after a few years into the industry, where I made very thoughtful moves. For me, first and foremost, is about people, not the agency. The people make the agency. When in my first agency, it was an okay agency, but I really wanted to work in Malaysia with who I considered, and the whole industry in Malaysia considered, the two by far most amazing creative leaders. At that time, Yasmin Ahmad, the late Yasmin Ahmad, she was unbelievable, and Dharma Somasundram, who was another amazing superwoman. I went to Yasmin after 2 years in the industry, and I said, I'll work for you for free for 6 months. I don't have, and you decide whether you want to hire me or not. And can you believe that? She said no.
She said no.
Yes, I said I work for free, 0 for 6 months. I think that was the most amazing wake-up call for me, that I'm kind of shit and I need to work on improving my craft. Luckily for me, I got a job a few years later with Dharma, who was the other sort of person I really looked up to. So I've been very intentional about who I work with, and intentional that the next step doesn't close doors to possible steps after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that in that sense, I've been very well planned. I don't want to take a next move that it becomes a closed door, but more a door that opens to more doors after that.
That's awesome. That's a great, intentions is a great word. Intention is a great word, because I think you can only make progress and create progress if there are intentions and planning. Good. Look, this is a story of water, plumbing, and submarines. Yellow Submarine, the title of the 10th studio album of the Beatles, takes its name from a plumbing phenomena. The submarine represents the plumbing in all the European houses. In the old days, plumbing made a lot of noise, making sounds like being a submarine. And I can testify that this is true, because European houses are built with that kind of plumbing system. So when my mom used to turn on the heat during winters, there was that kind of submarine noise that accompanied my childhood. Now, as for the color yellow, Paul McCartney saying 1966, I was just going to sleep one night and thinking, if we had a song, it would be nice to be on a yellow submarine where all your friends are with a band. Now, I want you to think of this scenario. If you were to write a song and sing with all your friends the day you're going to retire in advertising, where would you want to be? In a submarine? Or would you want to play this song somewhere else?
You know where I want to be?
Where?
First of all, no disrespect to my friends. I want to hang out with my wife and my kids.
That's awesome.
In my backyard.
In your backyard.
Yeah. And I know you have a song already for me to play,
Yes.
which is wonderful, a beautiful song. But that's who I want to hang out with, because from the beginning,
Right.
and as obviously I took on new roles, which obviously came with more sort of sacrifices. From my wife and my kids, they've always been there for me. I wouldn't sort of been able to do this with the focus that I've been able to have without them saying, hey, you're not going to be able to do this weekend because, or, a few hours off from a holiday to jump on a call. I think those are things that what I signed up for in this career, and I have a.
Let me ask you a question that is not here. And it happened to everybody in advertising, but I really want to ask this question. And I think everybody has his own way to justify that. It's Sunday, and you had to hop on a call. You are with your family, and like, you're in holiday, you have to check your email. How do you make sense of that? Because that is a pure time that in exchange you are giving away, and you will never get back. That Sunday that you spend 2 hours on a Zoom call will never get back to you.
Absolutely.
How do you justify, how do you rationalize that? You rationalize saying like, okay, this is a sacrifice I do for my family, or how do you do it?
So, my brain is special only because of one reason. I can compartmentalize quite well.
Okay.
So there's a Ronald at work and Ronald at family. Different parts of my brain, and I'm quite strict about that. But obviously they creep into each other. But like I said earlier, I'm quite lucky that my wife came from this industry. She's not working anymore, but she sacrificed her very successful career almost 13 years ago to focus on the family. But both of us understand that it's what you sign up for when you take on this sort of a job. And I'm very happy, and I think very privileged to be able to do what I get to do. So I'm not complaining. It's what I signed up for. It's what I love to do. And I have an amazing wife who gets it.
That's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. I mean, honestly, I think that everybody has his own way to rationalize that. I think some days is more difficult than other. Like, I mean, it happened in my career that, like, I went on vacation, and then, like, maybe maybe like 3-4 days into that vacation, had to, like, log in and, like, and work. But some nights, and I don't know why this kind of thinking always happen in my head at nights when I'm laying in bed. Some nights I'm thinking about the chunk of times. I'm talking about really chunk, as if it was a chunk of meat that, like, they're taken away and toss it. And you say, well, I'm never gonna get back that anyway. So yeah, I give that away. But I think compartmentalize, I can't pronounce the word, but like it's pretty impressive. But now, like, I'm gonna think about the Ronald family that goes to the Ronald work and say, give me 2 hours.
No, completely.
Anyway,
completely. Or maybe they're happy that I'm out of their faces.
The two Ronald that they meet somewhere in the head space.
Maybe they're happy that I'm not in their faces. Like,
maybe that's a good way. That's a good way to rationalize that. Completely. That's actually a good way. Okay, sixth question. Reservoir of water is hidden in the earth mantle, more than 400 miles below the surface. All this water, 3 times the volume water on the surface, is trapped inside rocks. Basically, there is an ocean below our feet. We're never gonna get to that ocean, never. Or worse, we don't care that that is there. We just, like, don't bother. Our creative business is made of many layers, and one can remain on the surface or decide to travel deep, or some other people can go deep and try to, like, discover this hidden ocean. As of 2021, do you think there is anything in 2022, anything extremely valuable to our business that is actually under our feet right now, and we haven't seen it, or we're not even looking at?
Yeah.
What is that?
Absolutely, 100%. The beauty about creativity is creating something that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. So there's so many things that are undiscoverable. For example, I'm jury president of creativity in the metaverse.
Right.
No one talked about it 3 years ago. Everybody is talking about it today. So if you talk about undiscoverable things, I hope to discover something every day. Today, the metaverse and Web 3.0 is on everybody's lips. I hope very soon there'll be other things that add to it, not replace, but add. I think it's a beautiful, creativity is a beautiful additive industry.
Funny, like you said, the metaverse, right? And like I think my first proactive project that I did at Wunderman Thompson this year, I was hired in January, and in February I started working on this program called My First Day in the Metaverse.
I saw that.
And now this program actually was expanded globally, but we enroll people, onboard people in the metaverse, rather than doing like on Zoom, right? So my first day in the metaverse is actually having your first day at the office, like because of the pandemic now everybody does remotely on 2D.
Yeah.
But it's gonna happen in the metaverse, and like we did for our employees, and like it's going very, very good. Because I remember like when I had my first day, it was like so boring, like on Zoom, and I was like, I gotta change this.
Yeah.
And then I've been really into metaverse, but because because I grew up reading like Neil Stephenson,
Yeah.
and like Snow Crash, and
yep.
like of course and so all that's like science fiction things like Bright Player One, all these like great books, and so I got really drawn into it. And but it's true what you say, that there are discoveries that we don't know that they're under our feet, but they could like resurface in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's why it's called creativity. You create what wasn't there before, and that's why I feel we are very fortunate to do what we
are
allowed to do in this job. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, this is the last question. It's actually a question we ask to all our LEA guests.
Yes.
You have been here. When did you arrive in Las Vegas?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. And you're going to leave Las Vegas when?
On Monday.
On Monday. So on Monday, you're going to pack your stuff, leave, and go back to New York, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to ask you to pick 2 memories from this week.
Yep.
But I'm going to ask you to put these 2 memories, one in your carry-on and one in your luggage. And then I'll ask you which one where goes and why.
Okay, so what I put in my carry-on and what I put in my check-in.
In your luggage, yeah.
Yes.
Your check-in, yeah.
Okay, so I put my most precious things in my carry-on because a check bag can go missing.
You are the first. Let me stop you right there, brother. You are the first person that actually got this question right. That's why I wrote this question for. Nobody really got to think about the fact that your luggage can be lost, so you don't put the most precious. But you went straight right there.
Completely.
Which is like amazing.
Well,
you might have been talking
for
to
once, for once I met the brief. But so what do I put in this carry-on, which is the most precious sort of things that I got from this experience in this amazing week at the London Awards. This.
I'm so honored.
The interaction, I've seen you on the screen, but seeing you in person and
thank you
chatting, that's special. Being in a jury room with my fellow jurors, chatting, looking at each other, not using a digital hand to raise, to say I have a question, not using an emoji to say that's funny. That human interaction is what I'm going to take with me in my hand carry, because that's the most precious thing that I think we all experience being here again. So thank you for this opportunity, and thanks to the LA, Barbara, and the gang for bringing us all here together. What am I going to put in my check bag? Not that it's less important, but if it goes missing, I'll find it 3 days later. Is the learnings from just being with everyone here, whether it's my jury trying to figure out what to celebrate, or even starting to define what is this new category called creativity in the metaverse, learning from each other, because we had a great jury from people from gaming, experience, production, social platforms, entertainment, just almost a masterclass for all of us, you know, at the same
awesome.
time. That's what I'll, not that it's less important, but, you know, that's been an amazing experience.
Ronald, I can't thank you enough for being part of this like adventure and for letting me cross your ocean. Travel safe back to New York, and I hope to see you soon somewhere, somehow.
Right. Thank you,
so
Simone.
much.
All right, this has been amazing.
Okay, Ronald, that was awesome, man.
All right, man. I hope I did not fuck it up. The only thing is I said can. So if you want to like
No.